I'd like to call the regular scheduled meeting of the Belgrade Select Board, September 3rd, 2024 into session, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. So, Melanie is going to be a bit delayed. She is not here, but we have 4 remaining select people, so we do have a quorum. So we have established that. As we get ready to open the meeting, we always, at the beginning of the meeting, have a short period where if there's anyone who wants to bring something to the attention of the board that is not on the agenda, this is an opportunity to bring that to our attention. We almost never work on it that night, but it would come up at a subsequent meeting or something for us to look into in the future. So that being said, is there anyone that has any public comment they'd like to make? Would you identify yourself for the record?
I'm Sharon Netto. I'm the president of the Belgrade Historical Society. And I just wanted to let the select board know, and other folks that are here, I've been in contact with the Maine Preservation Commission in regard to the Old Town Meeting House. We had applied several years ago now to get it on the National Register of Historic Places, and it was denied. But it was denied based on the condition of the building at the time. And now that we've finished our renovations, we have one little section to resubmit. And the fellow who I talked to said it should not be a problem at all. So
Wonderful.
soon, hopefully,
Yeah.
it will be on the National Register. In a couple of weeks, Rod Johnson and I are gonna sit down and do the section that we need to do with pictures and his carpentry words. And then we'll submit it again, so.
Oh, wonderful.
The other thing that kind of went along with that is I did notice in the upcoming plan, and I had heard that people were interested in maybe looking into a National Historic District.
Mhm.
I did speak to I asked some questions, and the guy I had contacted with said, yes, he does that as well. And if we were interested in it, to just let him know, and he'd get us starting on the right path. So I'm also here to offer my assistance or the Historical Society's assistance in any of those types of things that we'd like to see.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're
How long a process for when it's submitted?
It depends. If the submission for a district, he said, was a lot longer.
Yeah.
But for a building, it's shorter.
Oh,
I don't know how long. He didn't really give me an idea, but he's already reviewed everything that they had before.
okay.
And just said, do this section. So I'm hoping that before the first of the year at least, that we'll hear back from them.
To be excused for a big party.
Well, I think so too.
Okay, thank you, and thank you to the Historical Society for all the work that I know it's been lots of people and lots of volunteers and lots of hours.
Sure has.
It's been a process, but
Yeah.
as they say, it takes a village and we're working on it, right?
Yes, exactly.
Anyone else have any public comments? Okay, seeing none, next order is to review and approve the minutes for August 20th. We accept the minutes.
I would second that. Upon review, I found no suggested things to edit.
I did not find any. Barbara, did you, Dan? Okay, if there's no discussion, all in favor, Peter?
Yes.
Barbara? Yes. Dan? Oh, okay, should have abstained, okay. Okay, and I will vote yes, so there will be 3 yeses, 1 abstention, and 1 absent. But they are approved. Okay, I move we open an unfinished business. Okay, so the first order of business is the maintenance garage. Is that you or?
Yep, and I have Corey's here. Oh, there he is, way in the back. So
Yeah, hi.
at the August sixth, meeting of the Board of Select Persons, approval was given for an RFP for the construction of a cement slab at the maintenance garage for storage. And included in your packet for review and approval is a draft request for proposals with a bid deadline of September 24. And what we did is we took the scope of services from the estimates that were provided so that we had accurate information to request.
Mhm.
Corey's taken a look at it and given the go ahead.
Okay. Anyone have any comments?
No, one question, Corey. All the requirements are listed here. Is there anything else you'd want to see in it, or is that it?
No, I think that's, you've covered it. I had Jason look it over. I had a guy that, is on a cemetery committee, that's what he does is concrete for a living. I had him look it over. They were both good with it, so I think it should be good to go.
I think that's as good as it gets.
Sounds pretty good to me.
Thank you.
I move we approve the RFP for the municipal maintenance garage concrete slab addition.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Anyone have anything? Okay, all in favor, Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes, so that's 4 yeses and 1 absent. Okay. Lorna, or do you want to take us through the next item, the house recovery contract?
Yes, so you had a look at this at the August 24 days, that would have been your last meeting. And requested a representative from cost recovery be present to answer questions about the new proposed contract. We did identify that the town currently has a contract in place, which expired December 31, 2023, and automatically renewed at that time for a 3-year term with an expiration date of December 31, 2026. So in your packet, you have the new proposed contract, and behind that, you have the one that is in place currently.
Okay.
Dan's here and you have someone here. Yes, I take it.
You want to start?
Yeah.
Would you identify yourself for?
Yes, I'm Dave Hewens. I'm the owner of Central Maine Cost Recovery.
Okay,
And the reason for the new contract is we had a shortfall last year. And we're looking for departments to help us cover that shortfall and then either go back to their original percentage. Or we're relieving them of the contract as of July 1 and letting them go. Or they can sign on as a new customer and pay a higher percentage than they are now. We're giving customers those options. Because we just didn't make it last year. And
okay,
there's a few towns that I owe money to. And, I'm trying to get them paid back right now.
how large was your shortfall?
About $96,000.
That's a short,
It
and
was-
how much of that is Belgrade's share?
It's a small portion of it. I would say about 15-18%. So we're talking 15-18 grand.
Okay. I didn't realize we had that many.
It's hard to keep track of that. It happens automatically. He takes our accidents and bills them. And we don't even really have to do anything. They take them off our fire report. And then they bill. Some pay, some don't. We don't fight the ones that don't pay. The one that benefited us the most was when we had the tanker fire.
Mhm.
Those are the ones, and the potential could happen again on this road, anything, tractor trailers, and that's when the payback is better. I can't remember what the total was for that.
That was in the mid-20s.
Yeah, so we got, 20 grand for that.
And that was before we even had a contract or an ordinance to build.
Right, he helped us get it through without the contract, and then we did this.
If we had had a contract, would we have had a larger settlement?
You may have, if you had the ordinance in place and the contract. The
Okay,
contract's really between me and the town
Mhm.
or my business in the town. The ordinance was a big piece of getting the funds and.
I think that allowed us to do the building, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and we did that one.
We had a very nice adjuster on that one, and he was willing to give us some money. Not as much as we'd asked for,
Mhm.
but he still gave us just about a little over half of what we asked for.
Okay, okay.
So do we have all the mechanics in place to have this be a working situation going forward, or are we missing anything?
No, it's all automatic for us. We don't even have to do anything.
Yeah, at the end of his report, he marks it ready to bill. And my staff takes it over from there. And with the new contract, which we've already started, with other towns,
Mhm.
because we start them as soon as we meet with them, if they want to stay. And, we're paying out on that quarterly fee schedule like you see. So when it hits 2,500, we automatically push the money. And then, you know, that way, at the end of the quarter, it's a smaller amount due with the payout.
Right.
So we don't get behind again.
So did we receive monies last year or
Yeah,
we did?
I don't know what's total.
Not a lot.
Yeah,
I
this,
don't have
like
the,
I say, a lot of insurance companies for some reason are not paying.
and
Bigger commercial ones will pay automatically, but the car, what's it?
Yeah.
50,
Your
50,
personal auto policies are not paying? Or
Progressive basically in January. 2 years ago, stopped paying them all together, which cut our business in half. And I was hoping they'd come back, but I didn't make changes fast enough. And that led to the shortfall of the following year.
Mhm.
And the last year's attempt at the contract, they had $25 for anything that doesn't pay. That just wasn't enough to cover, you know. And keep it going without another shortfall. So at this point, I've removed staff, I've removed. Expenses, you know, I moved. The Office 365 and the phone bill and back to my other business. So that, you know, we will mitigate the shortfall this year.
so. Dave, do I understand looking at the proposed contract that there really is no cost to the town?
None.
If we have a claim, you process that, you keep a fee, of course, for your services, and then the rest you push out to the town.
Yeah.
So having this in place, there is no cost to our taxpayers.
Absolutely, and even if we're in a losing streak where we don't get paid any, but we're spending money. We don't ask the town pay that at the end of the quarter.
Mhm.
You know, I spend about $1,000 a month just in PD reports.
Yeah.
And
Do you
we
know the
don't,
reason why the insurance companies are not paying anymore?
cause I'm not big enough to fight them in court.
So we'd have to take them to court each one. They're
Yeah.
supposed to pay, whether the state.
What was I say, what does state law say?
Yeah.
The state law says that, towns individually can do a ruling or ordinance that will require that payment to be made.
So.
And we have that ordinance.
How come we can't go to the, or you can't go to the state attorney general's office?
Right,
I just haven't had the financial, backing to get that done. You know, I don't have lawyers on my side, you know, everything we're doing, we're learning as we go.
Mhm.
Yeah, but if it's state law, the attorney general's office should be fighting it for you without it costing you lawyers.
agreed.
Yeah,
And Belgrade can't be the only one that's in the same situation. It sounds
no.
like
It's all the
if
time.
the insurance companies, I don't care who they are necessarily, but if they are, if there's a large class of them, I'm just saying, no, we're not paying. But law says, yes, you will. It sounds like there's a,
Fight it.
yeah,
Right.
that's a conflict, and that's why we have the Attorney General's office.
Well, you know, I will absolutely look into that. You're the first town that's actually mentioned that to me.
the same thing with the insurance commissioner may have. As these companies come and look for rates and look for things, they're gonna say, wait a minute, you're not doing your piece.
They all work, there are a lot of them all will pay how they stop.
Yeah, I mean, we were doing, at our best, we were doing, $75,000-80,000 a month
Mhm.
back to the department.
Back to the department, yeah,
You know, and then when Progressive stopped, it literally cut us in half.
yeah, yeah.
And I didn't make the changes fast enough on man enough to make the changes now, and I'm hoping customers stay, but I realize that some won't. And we move forward.
Well, and if we don't stay, you give us a 30-day notice and you're gone, right?
Well, I'm not gonna disappear because I owe you money.
Yeah.
I will sit down with your finance director and make that payment arrangement. I'd love to have you stay,
Right,
but I honestly, would love to have the buy-in, especially since, I basically do this out of my own pocket mostly, and then, the departments, when I don't have that.
Is a new contract a 3-year contract or a 1-year?
It's a 1-year contract. If I can't get this process under control and it paying, then I'm not gonna keep it going. I've lost money 5 years in a row.
So
And last year was a big enough shortfall to get my attention. It's like, whoop, I gotta do something. And that's why I'm man enough to sit here and,
my suggestion would be just to do this 1 year and then
One year.
reevaluate. Maybe
Yes.
we can fight with the AG's office and insurance. I mean, it doesn't cost us anything, we benefit from it.
Right,
Um, At some point, we either keep it going or not,
Barbara?
And Dave, how long have you been in business?
I was the IT guy for the ladies who started it. I bought it in 2018.
Huh?
And I bought the idea. And, we've grown it. I got a list of 10 customers when I bought it. I've grown it to 80 plus. Bill is helping, do that,
And that's all in Maine?
all in Maine. We just crossed the New Hampshire border for EMS stuff. We tried fire in New Hampshire, but it's a totally different animal. Their laws are really different.
And this is just cars, correct?
The car accident.
Correct.
Or motor vehicle accidents. We're getting some traction with house fires because they won't tell you that there's money for the fire department in each policy. But we find that if you gently say to the homeowner, we know there's money in your policy for our response, do you mind if we bill just that much? Nothing for you, but out of the policy.
Right.
I checked mine, I have 10 grand waiting for the fire department to respond.
And also, and my email address, like, then I'll just. I don't have a lot of my legislators, yeah, I'm the legislator of this area too, so. Get a hold of me so that I can, give me the information with the problems you're having written down, so I can forward it to. Our aides and stuff, and you can also make some calls and stuff.
And I've had departments reach out to legislators.
Yeah, I haven't heard from anyone, so.
Okay. Well, I would appreciate that. And I'm sure every town I deal with would appreciate that.
sure.
When that's the laws and it doesn't do any good for people to know.
Right, yeah, it's called, wait a minute.
I really think that. Attention of the AG's office, has to happen, so it wouldn't be us fighting with them, it's us asking them to advocate on this position. So, that's what
Yeah, I mean, that's where the AG office is at.
Yep.
And I have thousands of examples of denial letters from from 80 plus departments.
Yeah,
And it goes back all the way to 2018. Detailed records of what is been
And-
denied.
when did the state law go into effect?
We've had customers that were doing it back in 2010, so
Oh, okay.
before then,
Before then, okay, okay,
it is basically the municipal home rule. And allowing the towns to set up billing for reimbursement of expenses their citizens incur.
okay.
Huh.
Okay, anyone have any other questions?
No, I move that we award a 1-year contract to cost recovery.
I'll second that.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor, Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Peter?
Yes,
I'll vote yes, so it's 4 yeses and 1 absent.
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
thank you for coming and
It showed to me. That's
hopefully we
supposed
can
to-
maybe,
They're supposed to be playing for us.
Get some action here.
They're a lot.
That would be fantastic, thank you.
okay, thank you.
yeah, we wish you the very best.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks tonight.
Okay, the next item is the, what, oh,
They're just asking what they children. Because they're the lobby for, supposed to be fighting for these towns.
Right,
So
Right.
get them involved too.
Yes,
to do that, yep. And it might be worth checking with this gentleman to see who else in your district he
Yeah.
represents. Okay, next item is the North Belgrade Community Center heat pumps / Rome issue, Lorna? Thank you.
So when you all, met to approve the installation of the heat pumps for the North Belgrade Community Center, there was discussion about, checking with Rome to see if they might, be interested or willing to help share in the cost of, the heat pumps because the food pantry is located there. So I did, provide a draft, letter for you to take a look at, make any changes, and right behind that is the actual bill that we received for those heat pumps, within the parameters you set on the 20th.
Okay, so just for the record, the bill for the installing the heat pumps was $12,150. And the draft letter, just so you hear it, goes to, it's the select board in Rome and says, speaking with those who run and volunteer the Belgrade Rome Food Pantry located at the North Belgrade Community Center, it was clear something needed to be done to provide better air cooling in the building. The town of Belgrade received several estimates to install heat pumps in the facility, and the Board of Select Persons approved the installation of 2 pumps at their August 6th meeting. The town of Belgrade would like to request that Rome share in the cost of this improvement, taking into consideration that Belgrade provides space at no charge for the pantry, which serves residents in both communities. We would respectfully request the board consider X amount of the total cost, which would be X amount. And that would be signed by the select board. Any discussion?
When we talked about it, didn't we just say that we're gonna request them to pay? If they pay towards the one that was in the food pantry, not necessarily the one that was out in our area.
I think we talked in general, I don't know that we've got that specific, but that, I mean, I was thinking just personally, maybe pay 25% of it because
Right.
the other 2 separate units, so they're 2
That would be
packages,
50% of the,
of the food
Yeah.
pantry.
which is what I was kind of thinking.
Yeah,
So you could put, we would respectfully request the board consider 25%
Yeah.
of the
of the
total cost,
cost and then put that figure in there.
and then figure what that is,
Yep.
yeah. Peter?
that number seems reasonable to me.
Mhm.
Well, from my own perspective,
Right,
I'm not sure how they will receive that, but I think that would make sense.
you don't know till you ask,
That's correct.
right?
I was just gonna see if I could get a quick calculation, 25%.
That's
3,337.
No. 3,000.
37.
37.50, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I move we approve this letter, using the 25% figure. To send to the, Rome Select Board. Requesting reimbursement for the heat pumps at the North Belgrade Community Center. Second. Okay, move to second, any further discussion? All in favor, Peter?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes, so that's 4 yeses and 1 absent. Okay. And we open up new business,
Second.
and the first order of new business is our monthly department committee presentation. Laura?
Jason?
Yeah.
Our road commissioner, Jason Stevens is here
Yeah,
to give an update on all things roads.
so
You're on.
Wonderful.
we've been doing just the regular maintenance on most of the roads, some brush cleanup, some ditching and similar stuff like that. But we also started preparing some of the roads for upcoming paving, like changing bigger culverts and things in the roads that we figure that are gonna get paved next year.
So we're ready, so it doesn't get jumped on us if they wanna start paving in May or whatever.
Right.
So we're gonna stick with doing quite a bit of that and, yeah, we're working on the Drop On Road. We're gonna go to the House Point Road, the Dameron Road and probably. We might hit the West Road just to do some regular maintenance on that road. That road needs some regular maintenance, so. That's on the agenda for me. Unless something else comes up. So no big storms.
Right.
I've got two notes that related to the roads. I saw you down doing Minot Hill.
Yeah.
Along the edges, because everything's growing into it's higher.
Yeah.
A lot of the roads are like that. You're gonna be doing regular just grading, shoulder grading to get rid of some of that stuff.
So when we try to grade it, it has a lot of grass in it. We can't put it back, and if we pull it up into the road, it's hard to clean up. So a lot of it, we try to clean up with the excavator. And load it right in the truck, because it seems to be easier that way. If you got a good gravel shoulder, you can grade it, but if it's just, winter sand and sod. It's.
The last problem with all that sod coming eventually is gonna get into the roads, and we're gonna
Right.
break up the edges of the road, so.
Right, so we did that road, we did Minot Hill Road, we did Foster's Point Road. We did the Penny Road, I don't know, right off the top of my head, I can't think of any. I know we did a couple of, he's on the Mill Stream Road right now, cleaning the bushes on that road.
You
So-
do McGraw Pond Road, you did something?
Yeah, we're doing like more culvert work and ditching on McGraw Pond Road, changed a couple cross culverts that went across the road that were really bad. Because if we pave next year, we wanna make sure that all settles and everything, I don't like to do it, like, say they're gonna pave middle of May, come in first of May or whatever, change the culverts, and they might settle, you know, in the pavements in place, so.
So you get all those done so they can settle over the winter.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, the railroad track that they replaced over on.
But it's at Hammond's.
No, the one,
Oh.
Bartlett?
Yeah.
that's worse than ever.
There's a big.
It's like the Dukes of Hazzard.
Really?
Oh,
Yes, I saw that.
I was right.
And when they did the depot road, remember when we tied over there, they made it stay so far back, and we had that pothole we couldn't fix?
Right,
And they were gonna come out and fix to that point, they didn't come out and fix to that point.
oh, they did.
So now it's an 8-foot section that we didn't pave and they didn't pave. So we need to find out what's going on with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I came across the Bartlett Road right after it was done and I was being good.
Oh, that-
Not that I'm always good, but that day I was good and I went, oh my lord. I mean, it was,
Yeah,
I'm like-
they built it up even more, and it's almost like there's a section that they didn't put the pavement back down.
I mean, it's really.
It's horrible.
Oh, man. Snowplows are gonna love that.
Well, some of that,
Oh.
somebody's gonna get killed over that.
Yeah, it's really. So.
Yeah.
So is that your responsibility to get a hold of the railroad people?
I'll find a contact.
Okay.
I probably had one for previous paving, I don't know who I spoke with, but I'll try to find a contact.
I don't know, next time we do that road, we may have to spend a little more money, we may have to.
Even,
come out,
yeah.
you know, bring it out, so it's a lot less of this.
Yeah, it's a real,
Yeah.
it's almost like the West Road used to be, you know, with
Yeah.
the bumpy road.
Yeah, and we've been hiring at work flaggers, help flagging some of the roads. The roads, it's difficult because you can't find anybody to flag, it's hard to find anybody to work, so I've been hiring them and scheduling with them on the roads that are really bad. Some of the little shorter dead end roads that are pretty open, we try to just put up work area signs, we're moving along, doing brush and stuff, so. So we're trying to do that. I'd like to have a sign, like the lit up lights. Like we had talked about, you know, the battery power, but they want 30,000 a piece, you need two.
We found some
What
that
costs
were
online?
just a
But
few
there's
thousand.
just basic lights, but at least they'd be better than nothing.
Would they cover us as far as what we're doing?
Cutting some, it covers as much as what you're doing now. We actually have a town policy that says you must have flaggers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because we've enforced it with the tree services and everything else.
Right.
Oh, so I thought if you move it slowly down the road, you don't have to, but. Doesn't matter.
I think we got a written policy somewhere that says required, any contractor required to have flaggers. If there's-
Cause they're
Look at that, see,
$50 an hour per person, so it's $100 an hour.
Yeah, so they make more work, buying.
I don't know.
electronic signs.
Yeah. Pretty sure it's like, I'm pretty close to it. Are you hiring? I mean, it's not me, it's at work. They probably paid him $14 now.
Yeah,
Right.
sure.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Any other questions for Jason?
I have a question about, the roads committee and how you work with the roads committee as far as, you know, back and forth advising what roads need to be repaved and it. I'm just curious about
Yeah, it's
how
been
that works.
Been a while, Lauren tried to contact everybody about it, and I don't think she had much luck, because we were gonna have a meeting. So it's been pretty,
Corey, Jason and I were able to get together recently. I've scheduled another meeting. Val said that she could attend, but I haven't heard from anybody else.
Oh, I didn't know.
And the roads that are, or should be considered for paving this next round were already discussed and kind of put in place on the list prior to me, actually.
Okay,
Continuing with that plan.
yeah.
There should be a schedule for the ones we've been doing.
Yes.
yeah.
So it's not like the committee needs to meet on a monthly basis, right?
No.
Things are decided
No.
pretty far in advance.
Yes, ma'am.
And so we'll be starting a new 3-year plan this spring.
Yes,
Okay.
But we know what that plan is.
yes,
Pretty much.
we have a whole list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
so,
we can add to it if we had enough money, or take away, or whatever, there's all kinds that can be done.
It looks like the bidding went out, it looks like April, the last time it was done, so I assume it would be the same for next year.
Yeah, do we wanna keep this, the amount about the same as what we've been spending for paving, or? Does anybody
I don't think it's necessarily the amount, I think it's necessarily the mileage. I wanna try to do the same, because we need to keep the same amount of roads done every time, roads are getting bolted on.
agreed? Yeah,
So if we can do more because the price is lower, that's great,
yeah,
but I think we need to try to think about doing the minimum that we
Right,
yeah.
set by the plan.
Yeah, I think we 8 or 9 miles, does that sound right?
well, no, we've got 46 miles of road, so,
Right.
Yeah, but so much for every 3-year plan that they've been trying to get.
right.
Under 10, I think.
Under, is it under 10?
Okay.
Alright, any other questions for Jason?
I do. Jason, do you feel comfortable with the plan? Or do you have any other recommendations?
Like the 3-year paving plan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we think the contractor's giving us a better deal to do more all at once, I guess, because if we didn't do 3 years, we did it like every year, it'd be less paving. You know, would we do it like less mileage, or how would it, I don't know, what's our options? What would you think? Think there'd be anything better? I wouldn't go any further prior to 3 years.
I mean, I was just trying to think about the length of time to cover all miles and how
Right.
often does that cycle? Like,
Right.
you know, in other words,
I
like,
know.
yeah. Cause mile 1 from year 1,
Right.
eventually you get
Just
the
the
action.
Depot Road and the Capital Road and all these, you know, Hewlin Street. All these roads, how long? I think they give it like 10 to 12 years.
I was gonna say, if you're going 10 miles a year, we got 40, say 40 years.
Right.
You know, they're talking 12 years, so
Yeah.
year cycle.
I think that's about what they figure a little road lasts.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Anyone have any other questions, for Jason? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for all the work you do.
Thanks, Jason.
Okay, next item is committee appointments. We have, appointment of Cameron McCafferty. You're here. I was wondering, I thought maybe that is, okay. So we have, appointment of Cameron McCafferty to the short-term rental committee. Do you want to just give us a line or two on why you're interested in doing this, or?
I've been involved in the business for 20 some years. And I've been running the sporty camp in Belgrade area for 16 now.
Mhm.
So I have some knowledge in it
Yeah.
and some concerns also.
We're going to need knowledge in that, so that's good.
Yeah.
and concerns.
Yes.
Anyone have any questions from Cameron? Okay, I move we approve Cameron McCafferty to the short-term rental committee.
I second that.
Any other discussion? All in favor, Dan?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes, so. Congratulations, you're confirmed. You will need to stop and see Mary, not tomorrow because we closed on Wednesday.
She won't be in
Okay.
Thursday, she's in training, but she'll be in Friday
Okay,
or next week.
okay, thank
you.
you, and thank you for serving in that committee and helping us,
Yeah.
you know.
And so maybe your addition to the committee might be the determining factor that'll get it
When
off the
we finally
ground.
get
Yeah.
moving, because we'll have enough people,
Yeah,
so.
that'd be great.
Thank you.
Okay, next one is, update from the Friends of Belgrade Lakes Village. Lorna, do you want to?
Sure. So Kathy is here, yep, there she is, to give an update and answer questions on the parking area at the Village Green, to include a lighting option for handicap parking and possible additional tree removal. Kathy?
Right. Thanks very much. Kathy Atkinson, I'm co-chair of Friends of Belgrade Lakes Village, and with that lead off, I'll get right into the first thing, which is talking about possible additional lighting that we'd like to offer to the town. So we're talking about parking lot that exists at the Village Green. We are not talking about the new parking lot that's under construction. Okay, so let's make that clear first, so there's no confusion. And at that parking, or right very close to it, there is an existing telephone pole that has all kinds of electric, the electricity is there, but there is no light on it that shines down onto the parking lot, okay? So that's the background. So what we would like to offer is a mast arm. So it's this thing that comes out like this, and they're all over town. I think on the lights through town, we have like 45 of them or something, the same thing. And it would provide dawn to dusk lighting, just as it does throughout the rest of the town. The company that we would use is the same company that provided the lights that the town chose when it moved from the big overhead travel lights to the LED lights to save money for electrical costs. And it would be the same installer. The thing that would be different in what we're offering you, or in addition to it, is that when we do install the lights up at the new parking lot, those lights, which will be dark sky friendly and downward facing and all of that, are also going to have a node on them, a Verizon node that will allow the facilities manager to, they're programmed, you can have them programmed from dawn to dusk or whatever, they can be turned off. The individual light can be turned off. For example, up at the parking lot, suppose it's not going to be used in the winter. Those lights could be turned off totally rather than being permanently or seasonally off, so that they wouldn't be going, dawn to dusk. So this mast arm could have on it one of the Verizon nodes that would permit the facilities manager of the town to, in essence, turn it off if it was not needed at all. Okay, so we're asking if you would be interested in having this addition. It is not part of the lighting plan for the parking. This would be something that we would provide to you at no cost in addition, because we think it's an important addition. There is no lighting there, and since that is the parking area for the handicap parking, when people use the Village Green for different events, we think it would be a really good safety enhancement. So we're getting ready to place our final order for the lights for the parking lot. And now is the time, if we're going to provide this to the town at no cost, we need to include it with our order. So I need to know your decision if you would like us to proceed with this.
I have a question.
Barbara?
Kathy, is the pole that you mentioned, is that on the West Road? Or is it
No.
right at the parking lot now?
It's between the existing parking lot and where the land is just a little bit off, just a little to the side.
So with the mast arm, it would light the entire parking lot, the handicap lot.
Handicap.
No, I know, I understand,
Yeah,
I understand.
yeah. Would provide. good
And is it
light.
now, is it now considered a handicap lot? It's not, or it will be the handicap lot once the new parking lot is completed,
There is handicap parking there now,
but not exclusively.
right?
Okay.
But it will be designated for the handicap parking lot when the time comes
Okay.
that the two parcels would work together.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions?
No, I think there's a comment. Thank you for thinking about that.
Well, it was, Corey was there, Elliot's there, you know, we've been working on the things and Carol and Chris and we talk and, you know, here it is, we're doing this other work. And if that's gonna be the handicap lot, what can we do? And we all know what a busy area that is with the grill and Lakeshore Drive and everything. Whatever we can do to make it better. It just seemed like a good investment.
And how much do we spend a month now, each of those things? Well,
Well, I can tell you what
It's
this.
nominal.
I
It
know,
is,
I agree.
yeah.
I just saw it's on the record, so that.
I think Kathy might have that.
I'm sorry, Dan, would you ask me how much it
Yeah,
cost?
no, I'm not, how much we pay a month for each of the
Monthly.
individual lights that we take on out.
And I don't, we have.
Electrical bill, I'm just curious, so that it was on the record as part of this
Yeah.
discussion.
Yeah, it's nominal. I wanna say a minimum light bill is $30, between $30 and $40.
The point that I would add is, in the summer, when they have the concerts. And the concerts get over, it's daylight, you know, you still can see, but if you go to the concert this week or next week. When the concert's ending, it is dark and people are using their phones to try to even get where they're going and to put their seats together. So that's why, especially with it being handicapped, we felt it was an important piece to add.
Yeah, I think it sounds like a great idea.
I do too.
And the node gives a lot of extra flexibility with the usage of it.
So would all the lights be timed together for this flexibility so that you could have the handicap lot on
Well, that-
later in the season or, you know,
The town, once the town takes, you know, we are working to get the funding to finish this. And then there'll be the vote for the town to accept it. And then once the town does, the town will make the decision as to when they want those lights off and on. But we're trying to provide best quality
Okay.
with its function and also as much flexibility so that it can be used appropriately.
And this one for the handicap will also have that same node.
Yes, yes. We're ordering 3 nodes for the 3 lights up at the top and thought to include this node, the extra one for that lot.
Okay, can I have a motion?
I move that we approve the lighting option for the handicap parking as discussed by Kathy Atkins.
I'll second that. Any further discussion? All in favor, Dan?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes,
Peter?
Yes,
And I will abstain, so it'll be 3 yeses, 1 abstention, and 1 absent. And then the next piece,
Thank you on that. So that was the light, and then the other is possible tree removal. So I'm gonna talk about this just for a second. If you've been through town, if you've seen the parking lots, I want to give kudos to Jason. His company has just done a terrific job. And I think the way you work with Elliot there, our engineer, to, you know, execute the design and the plan, it's gonna be terrific. So thank you very much. But, so as the completion nears, I was up there and in your packet, I think maybe you saw some pictures of the trees. So here's what happened. Elliot, who's up there checking, sees that with, the way Jason has masterfully taken out those rocks and boulders that were part of the parking lot, you know, of the lot up there, you know, who knows what's underneath. He has taken them and it has formed this wall that separates the edge of the parking lot from the drop down into the village green. And there are some trees there, and that's why I sent that one picture. You can see how close some of those trees actually end up being. I mean, they're there, they look, you know, fine, but close to the wall. as part of the engineering design, there will be a side slope that takes here's the steepness of the boulder wall and eases it down to the level of the ground, the side slope, and the engineering specifications are for a 3-to-1 grade. That means that he has to bring in the dirt, fill it in, smooth it out, and in that way, some of those trees which are close to the rock wall will have additional dirt around their base. And we all know that the roots can be disturbed, so Elliot brought this to our attention, and he had a concern that maybe some of these trees, which today look, if you just look at them, look good, that over the course of the next couple years, that having dirt put over them could affect their longevity. I also included a distance shot so that you could see that some of these trees, that when you're looking at them just like this, oh, it's okay, you know, nice trunk and everything. But if you look up, you see that many of those trees, a number of them are already at the end of their natural lifespan. So the question is, would you, because for Jason to put the dirt in for the side slope, he has to put that in, but if the trees are gonna come out, the trees that could be affected, they have to be taken out before he can put the dirt in. So that's what we're here to talk about. And Hans Rasmussen has confirmed that this is all part of the application that was given and approved by the planning board. So there's no concern as to that. So I guess the question here is put succinctly, would you like us to be proactive in looking at these trees and taking out the few additional ones? I'm making up a number, 6, 8, we're not talking 50 trees here. You know, the reasonable number of what might be impacted by the increased soil around their bases. Would you like us to be proactive and take them out at our expense before the side slope is put in? Or would you like us to leave those trees and, you know, see what happens down the road? But then it's at, hopefully the town will accept this. So if those trees should die in a couple of years, the expense there for the trees would be the town, but. So that's the question I would like to pose.
But I know with softwood, I don't know hardwood, but I know softwood, if you bury a softwood trunk, it'll
Yeah.
die within a couple of years, cause I had,
I'm gonna be buried 3 feet.
right, I had a beautiful. Fir tree, would have been something you'd see down to one city center in the thing that they got cut off. It was about 50 feet tall. And I wanted to keep it when I built my house, but I had to bury around it, and within 2 years, it was dead or dead.
Yeah.
And I didn't disturb the roots, I just had to bury around it.
Right, that was what Ellie was concerned
So
about.
I know softwoods will do it, I don't know about the hardwoods, but I'd say go ahead and take the softwoods anyway down. And I don't know what else, other trees without having ribbons around them, I can't even tell.
Well, we made it, you could look up there right now and you say, well, gee, they have the ribbons around them. That's because when the project started, made every effort to identify every tree that was worth saving. That's what those present ribbons mean. They're not designated now as the trees that I'm saying that we might have to have Jason take
I
down.
worked carefully around for a long time now.
That slope, is it going all the way down to the?
It's probably about 20 feet, it's 3-to-1 slope, and it's about 5 to 6 foot drop, so.
So you're gonna, what's most of that distance through there, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's the question, to do if, while I'm there taking them down, and seeing, then you're gonna cost me more if there's any other ones right there that you want gone, or you want me to just go to the end of my slope, and leave the rest, or.
Well, that's what we're here to talk
Or,
about.
or maybe if you have to take too many of them down, once you get the slope in there, plant a few to regrow in the new ground, in the new dirt.
Landscape.
Right. I'm gonna just make a pitch here. One of the other things that we really worked hard on is thinking about integrating the beauty from the village green with the parking lot. You know, it's not gonna look like the parking lot down at, you know, in a, you know, like some shopping center. Making every effort to have that, you know, it'd be a beautiful focal point in the town. To that point, we started work right away with Pat Carroll, Carroll Landscape Associates in Portland. Pat Carroll is the same landscape architect who designed the village green with the beautiful seating wall, with the gazebo, with the planning, the path through, with an eye to grace and beauty, how these work. So he has designed plantings for us so that when Jason does this work, there is a plan already in place that was actually included with the planning commission application. So there'll be, in all this area that's disturbed, a conservation mix that's Maine based, it's conservation, conservation wildlife seed mix that's all natural and indigenous for our area. And then carefully selected plantings to fill in. So it'll be, there's much more planned than just having to worry, do we have to stick some trees in there, which is a good idea, but we already have plans for carefully landscape design. And I'm sure if there's a need for a tree that, you know, that could be accommodated, but I want you to feel confident that we have really thought about and addressed the needs for the plantings in this as it goes on.
Any other comments?
From my perspective, every time we hear from you, it builds my confidence in the plan going forward. So I would have no problem saying, please take the trees as you see fit.
Yes.
As Jason sees fit. And
Corey has looked at this.
Yes, I agree.
thank you.
So,
So I would
if
say,
any, you want any to move outside of my work?
I think we need to confer with Elliot on that,
Okay,
okay? Can we, you know,
I'd like to know.
I know you need,
later.
you're ready to finish, which is why we're here tonight, but he is really ready to close this down, and this is what he's
Sure.
waiting to do, so. So, yeah,
September.
we'll get right on that.
Yeah.
So you'll know.
Yeah.
Won't be a mystery.
I mean, I'm okay with it as long as they don't wipe out all the trees.
No,
Right.
no.
So it's nice to have some wind break down that area too.
Right, and then a buffer,
Wind
but it
comes
sounds
right
like
up
you're.
Main Street, across that park, and
Mm,
farther we not this way, the more it's coming.
yeah.
And it seems like the plantings that you're suggesting would provide a sort of visual buffer as well.
Yeah, they'll be, you know, they're not gonna be tall as a tree to start with, obviously, but right size.
So can I have a motion?
let's see. I would motion that the tree removal at the village green proceed. At the behest of Jason,
Or at the discretion.
or at the discretion of Jason.
With Elliot.
Yeah.
With Elliot there.
And the
With Elliot
photos.
there.
Sure.
Is there a second?
Second,
Okay, all in favor, Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
yes.
Peter?
Yes.
And so there are 3 yeses, I will abstain and 1 absent, so. Jason, I think Elliot's gonna call you first thing in the morning.
Okay.
And for those of you, if you haven't been down and seen the work that Jason has done, I mean, it's wonderful, and from the West Road with the rocks that he filled in, it just looked really, really remarkable, so.
Really, it is.
Yeah.
And the rocks that I placed down there, if you want to move, that I know before I.
Just wait for shots back, yeah, so they don't have to, yeah.
Why don't you tell me where a good time, or you and Elliot find a good time.
Sure.
My schedule is very flexible, and I will come, and with Corey, with Richard, and.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's gonna be, how we gonna summarize the owners? Yeah, we have to.
okay, thank you,
Thank you.
thank
Thank
you
you very
Kathy,
much.
Christine from the front,
Yeah.
good job, we appreciate it. Okay, our next item is cemeteries. Lorna, you wanna get us started?
Okay, so I have Phil and Corey here. The cemetery committee has reviewed, approved And recommends the board also approve these requests to purchase lots for, and these are folks who live outside of Belgrade. So Hans Rasmussen, who happens to be our code enforcement officer, Robert Ratter, and Doug Strain, and those letters, the request, you have a copy right behind this cover sheet. In addition, Plan 6, the cemetery committee would like to widen the road. It's my understanding that folks coming, as you drive through the cemetery and onto the cemetery road on one side, that there's not enough room for them to come down the middle where the stones are and get onto that road, so they're driving over stones.
Oh,
So.
Yes, ma'am.
So, the request is to widen that, so that alleviates that situation, and then the cemetery committee is discussing clearing Plan 6. And I've given you a graphic, picture that Corey provided and wrote on there so that you could get some idea of that. And then number 3 is, the Quaker Cemetery. Corey has, got a quote, for it's iron, right, metal gate that would match the other cemeteries. So the picture you have, is of the Pine Grove Cemetery. So we would actually, request to have a gate just like this, very similar made, that would say Quaker Cemetery. In our cemetery. So three different items, and of course.
The Quaker Cemetery is mine, just across from the.
Yes, yes, that little one, yep. Corey and Phil are both here, to answer any questions.
all right, well, let me read, let's do them one at a time. Let me read the letter into the record. So to the Cemetery Committee of the Town of Belgrade, I am interested in purchasing 2 to 4 lots in section 5 of Pine Grove Cemetery. As a servant of the town of Belgrade and a lifetime passerby of the cemetery, I find it would be an appropriate resting place. I do not plan to retire, therefore will work for Belgrade until I drop. With this in mind, I request honorary resident status for my commitment and to be able to afford the 2 lots. I humbly ask for your approval to become a future resident of this cemetery. That's from Hans Rasmussen, and I understand that the cemetery committee voted to honor this request and brings it before the board.
It went through the committee for you to decide whether that Hans would be accepted or not, because he really doesn't meet any of our requirements for the cemetery.
But they did recommend that we do that. The recommendation is to proceed. Okay,
So the recommendation is that we make him an honorary resident, so he would pay resident fee rather than the non-resident fee. Is that what the actual, request is?
No, I don't think that's where we.
I think it was basically approved. We think he should have lots if he wants. I don't know that it was ever suggested that we give him residence rates, but
present rate, but
that would be totally up to you guys.
But isn't that what he's asking? I request.
He's requesting
honorary
that
resident
plus
status
the ability to
to afford
purchase
4 lots.
yes,
So he, without the honorary residence, without the resident status, he would buy 2 lots.
2 lots.
With the resident status, he would buy 4. Okay, I see.
His comment to his son was, I want enough space to put a bench, so when you're homeless, because I'm not living there anymore, you can have a place to come visit me. So.
okay.
Okay.
Any comments from the board? Consideration?
I have a problem with it, but I'll just vote that, well, the way I want.
I'm sorry.
I don't think he has substantial ties to the town at this point. I mean, he hasn't been an employee that long. I just.
Okay. Peter?
What are the costs? Can you remind me what the costs are, Phil? For,
I have that same opinion. He's not a resident of Belgrade. I voted for it, but I'd like to rescind that.
Well, I mean, for me, there are 2 issues. One, do we approve that he can purchase one, because he's not a resident of Belgrade.
Right.
And then two, if he's, do we, give him the resident or the non-resident rate? My thinking is, if the cemetery committee is comfortable, we maybe allow him to purchase lots, but at the non-resident rate, since he is not a resident, but,
I think we will set a precedent.
yeah.
And it was the reason why we made those rules 15 years ago, so. That means anybody that works in front office can come in, that doesn't live in Belgrade. Say, hey, I want you,
Right,
and you're not following the rules that were made.
That's why we always used to say you had to have substantial ties to the town, but the other next two letters, you know, people have been coming here, because some residents for 50 years. You know, I understand that.
But they're paying non-resident rate,
Right, but
so
you're at
that's
least
not, so
allowing,
that's not a question.
right, but you're at least allowing them, you know, we could say, no, they couldn't, but have. A lot, but they at least have substantial ties.
So, not to nitpick, but what's substantial? How do we know when it's substantial?
Substantial commitment or substantial tie to the town.
I mean, maybe, yeah, go ahead. I'm
It's
sorry.
an arbitrary thing.
Bill, do you have the, some
No.
in front of you?
Yes, Bill.
Stating that.
Can you just read what it?
Do you want me to read it, Phil?
Those three.
Right up here,
Uh,
right here.
yeah, right.
Right here, okay, so it says a non-resident may be assigned up to 4 burial spaces total in the town's cemetery, providing that he or she fulfills one of the following 3 requirements. 1, that person must have had his or her birth parent or legal relative residing in the town of Belgrade at the time of their birth. That person, number 2, that person must have relatives who are either living in Belgrade or who are buried in the cemetery. And number 3, that person owns and has paid property taxes on real estate in the town of Belgrade for a period of not less than 20 years. So those are the requirements.
For resident.
That's not.
For non-residents.
For non-residents, yes.
I'm thinking maybe we should refer back to the cemetery committee to look at, do they want to explore an employee option? If someone has been an employee of the town for whatever amount of time, 5 years, 10 years, I mean, I don't know, but that instead of making an exception that opens the door, that we ask the cemetery committee to look at what would be a reasonable way to accommodate someone in that situation. I mean, that's my personal opinion. I don't know what the rest of you think.
And that's for first first letter.
That's just for Hans. Yeah, we'll do these one at a time, so, what does anyone,
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I mean, I think, what was it Scott who said? You know, we have to be careful. If we have rules, we have to enforce them.
And these rules were made and they were picked over for
Yeah.
many months when we made them.
yeah,
And that's the best 3 that we got out of it. There was other ones that were brought up for oddball stuff and they got turned down.
Right, and approved by the voters, if it's an ordinance.
it's an ordinance, right?
Yeah.
And-
So it's been
and
a-
in our town, we seem to be fairly reasonable on our cemetery lot, so you know, if you got somebody that works out of, or some comes from wherever, and it's expensive, they're gonna try to
Right,
come here.
so,
So I would be comfortable. Purchasing.
remanding this.
So. According to what you read, he doesn't fit any of the requirements,
And that's actually an ordinance.
and it's an
It
ordinance.
is cemetery ordinance.
If they don't meet it as part of the ordinance, I don't know how we can override an ordinance. I think it has to go back to the voters.
Right,
Right. So how about I move that we ask the cemetery, that we send this back to the cemetery committee and ask them to explore. A possible employee option of something that would then eventually come before the voters
but I
as
think,
part of the ordinance.
but I think the first we have to say.
No.
No.
First, we have to say no to
No to
this.
this, and then,
First, we have to say no to this, and then we say, would the cemetery committee want to consider,
Mhm.
you know.
Why don't you make that motion?
I move that we regret that Hans Rasmussen does not meet the requirements as listed in the ordinance for a cemetery plot in the town of Belgrade.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor, Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. And then I would ask that we go back to the cemetery committee and have them look to see if that's something they would like to explore. Because it would have to come before the voters
Yeah.
and for a future thing, and it's, you know, we may find that we have people that work for us for a very long time. And that's something we may wanna use as a criteria in the future. So. Okay, the next one is, to the members, the dear members of the cemetery committee, we are writing to ask you to consider us for the purchase of a plot at the Pine Grove Cemetery in Belgrade. We are non-residents. While we are non-residents, we have spent over 50 summers enjoying the Belgrade area. Initially, I was a camp counselor at Camp Kennebec starting in 1971. We purchased a camp in February of 1989 and have been paying property taxes since then. Since relocating to Florida in 2016, we do not have any religious ties in Western New York. We are now members of the Oakland Sydney Methodist Church. We have established lifelong friends over the years here who have already purchased plots. We have made arrangements to be cremated, but as a genealogist, Gail appreciates the value of a cemetery headstone and cemetery records. We hope that you will honor our request. Thank you for your kind consideration. Regards, Robert and Gail Radder, Radder.
So they seem to meet the requirements since they've paid property taxes since 1989.
Is that the request from the cemetery committee? They do meet the requirements?
Yes. They
Okay.
And more than 20 years, I think it was, right?
Right.
20
okay.
years, they have ties for 50.
They purchased camp in 89, so they're more than 20 years. Okay.
Right, so they pay property taxes, yeah.
Okay. I have a motion.
Okay with that.
I move we approve the request from the Ratters
Okay,
to purchase a plot as recommended by the cemetery.
okay.
I'll second that.
Peter's gonna second that. Any further discussion? All in favor, Peter,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes, so it's 4 yes and 1 absent. And then our third request is to Kevin Merrill. Tom and Pat Foster brought us to Foster's Point and Great Pond 55 years ago. We've come every summer since then. In 2002, we purchased a camp at 293 Foster Point Road. Our summers have been spent here since 2002. My wife calls this our happy place, and I agree. Many of our closest friends are buried here, and it is our desire to purchase a cemetery plot at Pine Grove, Belgrade. Thus, our request to you. We hope this meets with your approval, and this is Doug and Joan Strain, Strain. Cemetery committee,
We approve that.
and they meet all the criteria. So the recommendation from the cemetery committee, and they do meet the criteria.
They've owned the camp since 2002, so it's 22
It's
years.
22 years, yeah. Okay. I move we approve Doug and Joan Strain for, to purchase cemetery plot in Pine Grove, Belgrade.
Second.
All in favor, Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes, so that would be 4 yeses and 1 absent. And who contacts them? Is that the cemetery committee or is that you, Lorna?
I think the sexton
Is that,
will contact.
we'll contact them, okay, all right. Okay. Next one is, Plan 6. Anyone want to speak to Plan 6, Bill?
Well, sorry, the road needs to be widened, on the, tree side. on the backside.
Mhm.
It's just not wide enough for a golf truck to turn to get into the different roads.
Mhm.
They probably could come in from the main road or 135, but I don't know if they do that all the time.
It isn't just vault trucks, it's regular vehicles coming down through there. Visiting the cemetery plots, and then they drive out to the center road, cut it short because it's a narrow path. And as the cemetery is filling, you're closer to that road with headstones, flowers, vases. And we've fixed, say, 4 this year. That people have just cut the corner short and run right over somebody's head, footstone, their flowers, their vase. And we've actually moved one stone, the other end, so that they would stop hitting it.
Mhm.
So. It was brought for the cemetery committee, and then Bruce suggested, well, instead of widening, why do we not just clear Plan 6 now and let it rot down over the years? See, and go that route instead of widening. So that's the 2 options that we presented when we brought it to the cemetery committee, was take 12, 15 feet out of the edge of the road, widening the road, or clear Plan 6, so. Now that's why it's coming to you guys.
So if you clear Plan 6, don't you still have to widen the road?
Well, yeah, but that's gonna be part of this Plan 6. We will have to stump it and widen that section.
How far on Plan 6 are they coming to this?
Could come right to the bank, but we would plan a tree line to.
Yeah, you want something up there with some roots to hold that wall back.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
So I just was wondering, because I'd hate to have that thing start keeping in again. Especially if it's just sand.
I think when they were doing their digging here, Hans made the comment, they have to be 50 feet from the edge of the bank or the edge of the property line. So we probably should plan on that same thing.
Yes.
It should be a tree line.
Yeah.
Of some kind.
Yeah.
Separating them.
I personally hate taking down trees before the time to take them down. I would much prefer to see it widened than to clear it if we're not yet ready to fill it.
Either or. Either or.
We were trying to try to do that at no cost for the town. We have to.
You mean to widen it or to clear it?
Yeah, widen it,
Widen it.
clear enough so that we can widen the road.
Widen the road?
I think Hal Stratton will take the trees down at his cost, but I don't know about stumping and
Yeah,
putting in gravel and stuff like that, or at least put a decent base on it. He will take the trees down at the cost of the trees.
Oh.
It's our conversation you had the other day, but as far as stumping it and putting gravel, that would be a question I'd have to talk to.
that's something cemetery committee would have to meet and decide and put in their budget for next year or. Because we still have to fill up Plan 5, correct? So we've got,
We got barely scratched the surface of it.
yeah,
So we're playing.
so I don't know, that's my opinion, what does everyone else think?
Yeah, I say you widen the road, what you're gonna do, we'll get that in the budget, just leave the trees there for now.
Yeah. Yeah. Barbara, you're.
Yeah, no, I agree, but the stumps,
Oh, I know, me.
the stumps would have to come out through that whole 15-foot
Right,
section.
Yeah,
There's a triangular section, it's not very wide.
okay,
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to do the road, widen the road, and then plan accordingly for whatever's gonna happen. You plan 6 after we start approaching filling Plan 5, right?
okay.
Makes
Motion,
sense.
anyone?
I move that we approve the request to widen the road abutting Plan 6.
Okay, is there a second?
Second,
Okay, any more discussion?
We're approving them, but. Aren't they gonna have to go through their budget for next year? Because we can't
Well, I
really
think
approve to
you
do
can,
it if we don't know if the money's there.
Can you widen?
If you, the price of the wood,
Right,
it wouldn't cost.
Then we would have to
But I don't know if they're gonna get gravel and everything else as part of that, so if you're not gonna do it, they're gonna have to go through their budget.
They're gonna have to go through their budget,
It's
right?
gonna take time.
Yeah,
So
there's
you can
nothing
go
we're
ahead.
gonna get done this year, but if he can take the trees down,
Yeah,
that's a start.
that's a start.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor, Dan,
Yes,
Barbara,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes,
Melanie?
Yes.
And I vote yes, so that's 5 yeses. Okay, and then the third piece is the Quaker Cemetery Gate. That Cory? Bill, who's gonna?
Yeah, there's no entrance to the Quaker Center. When they redid the posts, there's just chain across it. It's never looked good, in my opinion.
Is that chain yellow?
Yes.
Yeah.
it's that, it's that plastic, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a plastic.
It's that plastic link chain.
Yeah, it looks yucky.
So I would like to mimic the Pine Grove Cemetery arch, or whatever you wanna call it, gate, for a walk-through gate, not that big huge gate that you can drive through, just something that we can walk through.
Walk through.
Because right now, if this, somebody wants to get in there, they either have to take the fence down or not move it at all. So that's what I would like to do. The guy has already drawn me up a plan that he could do it. We're gonna take some parts from the old gate, the old fence that's in there, and he's gonna incorporate it into the top of the new archway, and, then I would just have to have it sandblasted and powder coated and. Yeah,
So $2,500 to do the whole,
yes, other than that'll build it, he said it should be probably 2,300, but he put 25 as a little buffer, and then I would have to. Have it powder coated, sandblasted and powder coated, but that's. Probably $500.
and is there money in in the cemetery funds to do that?
Yeah.
What's the cemetery committee have to say about it?
We thought it would be a good idea. It looks pretty drab.
Yeah,
It doesn't look very presentable right at the moment.
The yellow chain.
yeah, like that.
It served its purpose.
Yeah.
It's better than what was there.
Right.
And that cemetery is falling, correct?
Not really.
No? Oh,
Oh, there's room.
This.
So for target,
Yeah, Quaker, I don't know.
do you have to be a Quaker to be buried there? Is that part of the rule or not?
I don't assume.
Oh, just
I
curious.
would assume that was originally the plan.
Whatever. Okay. Anyone want to make a motion on this?
Just
Oh,
one
Bill?
more
Yeah.
comment. I don't know if you've noticed the main gate to the Pine Grove, it looks, they've done some work on that. Looks pretty nice.
Oh, good. I know that I've been seeing him doing a lot of work in the cemetery. Looking good. Okay.
So I'll try and make a motion on this one that we approve the request to have the gate made to match at Quaker Cemetery Gate as stated for $2,500.
Is there a second?
cost not
to exceed 2,500.
Okay, I like that. That's even more explicit. Yeah,
Uh,
to not exceed $2,500.
Do you wanna make that up to 3,000 if it's gonna cost them another $500 to have a powder coated? If not, we'll be back here proving money, so powder coated.
I could alter it to.
You can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Nobody seconded it.
Still working.
To not exceed $3,000. That's it.
All right. Motion is now made and seconded. Any discussion?
Try not to spend it all.
Yeah. All in favor, Melanie?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes,
Barbara?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Okay. We are approved.
thank you. A lot of good
Thank
work
you.
on a very.
A lot of work
important
down there.
topic.
Thank you. Okay, our next item is the Center for All Seasons Streaming System. Lorna?
Yeah, so I have, Dan is on Zoom. As part of the American Rescue Plan funding allocations, recreation. Dan McGlashy has submitted an estimate for a streaming system for the Center for All Seasons. The amount approved for funding from ARPA is $7,500. The balance could be taken from the recreational reserve account with board approval. So, giving you a copy of that estimate, there were two
Thank you, Bill.
options. And Dan thought we could go with option 2, which is on page 2. And then I've also given you the updated, balance for the recreational, reserve account.
Okay.
So then, the person who did this can come in here and physically explain to us how that's going to work for some of the seasons. Because originally the whole plan here was because someone wanted to be part of the Parks and Recreation Committee. And the meetings were held at the Center for the Seasons and there was no streaming available.
Right.
Some has some physical limitations and wanted to be able to participate via Zoom or something like that. Time and time again, we have attempted to purchase equipment for audio and video meetings. We have spent the money, but none of that has ever come to fruition. So when I see this, I can't picture in my head what this layout is going to look like in the Center for All Seasons. So I don't want to say that we're going to spend burning ARPA money and then have it still not. And could we have someone from Power Sound of New England? They might be able to Zoom, it looks like, well, unless they drove out, they're from Elliott. Could someone be here or Zoom in, Dan, do you think, to answer questions and discuss this with the board?
I think that we could definitely get the woman Leanne, who I got the quotes from, to Zoom with us. She said in an initial email that she could help us if we had any questions about that.
Maybe we could give her like a drawing of what it looks like in there. She could physically put these in so that we can see how that would work.
A visual.
Yeah,
How it
because I
would be
know that we had the
separated.
folks from Farmington, Dan, that I had given you their information and do all the audio visual for you and send them now. And I didn't know if we had ever reached out to them as well.
I've reached out to at least 4 different companies at this point. I can't really hear you, Melanie, completely when you're talking, but I've reached out to a few different groups, and this one, they were definitely the most thorough, and they provided the best feedback and the best estimates, and they're the only company that gave us 2 options. What we're thinking about is the streaming would be so that where the select board sits, this would be in the gym, and you'd be directly looking at where the select board sits for when they do the town meetings, with the option to add other cameras, because you can use the system that the center already has, the wiring system there.
Dan, so did someone from the company come in and see the space?
They did not come in yet. I took pictures of the space and I sent them to them. I saw their truck. They were doing work for the Union Church in town, I believe. And that's how I found them. They only do municipalities, schools, and churches, which a lot of the other companies that I've been talking to do a lot of business stuff. So it really wasn't catered to what our needs are.
And can they provide some municipality references that we can check?
Yeah, I can get all that to you guys too. I know this is a pretty important thing for the town, and I understand, our time looking into it and making sure that we have the right thing. So I'll get Leanne and I can get her to on one of these calls and give us more renderings possibly.
Okay. I would be more comfortable with that.
I'm very
Yes.
visual and I need to see how this is.
I look at this and I'm
Like
like,
I said, I bet you spent $5,000 minimum.
Well, we like, nice to know, to find a town that's somewhere in the local area, that what kind of feedback they get.
They get,
Yeah.
And if it's close enough, we can even, someone, or at least one of us could go take a look at it.
yeah,
Sure.
Because if it's anybody that's got a space that size, because that's the biggest concern, is the size of the space, the openness,
The height.
the height.
Yeah.
And, you know, wanting to make sure that whatever we do is gonna be useful across applications.
Yeah.
Zero.
So there was one thing that I made sure to ask is that the sound system that the town has that we use for those meetings, that is able to be integrated into the system too. So we're not gonna have to get like new speakers or anything. The video system will be able to feed right into that, which I think is important.
And will this have a camera in the social room too, so that when they're having committee meetings in there? It'll work in there too?
From my understanding, we'll be able to do that with the iPad that comes with the system. The camera that we're gonna be putting in the gymnasium would be the major one, but I can also ask about that to see if we can get a secondary camera, because this is for the town meetings and stuff. That's the major focus of this one. But I'll ask Leanne if we can do anything with the social room too.
Yeah, we're gonna use that as social room and have committee meetings, so it's something down there. Somebody wants to zoom in, they still need to be able to do that.
yeah, I know when they had the solar power public meeting, that was one that there were a lot of people who wanted to be able to be involved, even though they weren't there and we didn't have the capability. Yeah, so this would solve that problem.
I have a question.
Yeah.
And Dan, you may know this answer. Thanks for your time tonight, Dan. What's the circuit? What's the provided like circuit to the Center for All Seasons in terms of the bandwidth? Because this situation that's being provided seems really nice and up to date. And I'm just kind of curious if it's maybe in exceedance of what the circuit has.
You know,
Gigabit per second or something there or not?
I Peter, that's out of my realm of understanding.
Okay.
I if you could advise me on that more. We have the telephone lines, and then we have the cable connection. So they said they were going to be able to run it through our internal system that we have for like the LAN network, and then it would connect to like a head unit.
Okay.
So that's my only understanding. I don't really, that'd be a question that Leanne could probably answer for you.
Sure. Yeah, okay, yeah, I can present that question to you so we can ask it to her. It just, yeah, I don't have, I'm not objecting to it. I just want to make sure we're asking enough questions so that we know that the highway that this would travel over can handle what this wants to provide for streaming,
Right,
right?
right.
Say it that way. It's kind of like, you don't want to have like snake swallowing half a cow, right? You want the traffic to go.
You don't want it on the existing cemetery road, you want to have to make sure it's wide enough.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm happy that you're asking that question, Peter, because honestly, that's just not something that I even think about. So I'll make sure to ask Leanne. I'll send her an email. She's really, really responsive. And then I'll just field any questions that we have. I'll connect with Lauren to make sure I don't miss anything. Yeah.
And she knows that this is basically a gym.
Oh yeah, she knows it's a gym. They have a list on their website of a bunch of municipalities and churches that have their systems. So I'll look through that and I'll try to contact one of the towns that's closest to us too. I don't think it's going to be that. I think that they know what they're doing because all they do is churches, municipalities, and schools.
Right.
Okay.
And you might even find a church that's perhaps more of a building bigger than some of the municipalities.
Yeah.
You get some of these churches, a pretty good size
Yeah.
congregation area.
Right. Okay.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, thank you
So-
for the good pointers too.
So I would move that we table the Center for All Seasons streaming system until we have more information.
A second that.
Second, okay. Are you in favor?
Yes.
Okay, Peter?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. That's 5 yeses in favor of streaming it. I mean, streaming it, of tabling it. Okay. The next item is the Center for All Seasons handicap parking. Who's got that one? Lorna?
Sure. So as briefly discussed previously, there is a need for additional handicap parking at the Center for All Seasons, especially during elections and voting. Attached are estimates for earthwork and paving to add 4 new spaces at the front of the building. In addition, with grant funding recently received for elections, some of these monies can be used toward this work to purchase permanent signage. The balance of the project would be funded equally from the facilities and recreation reserve accounts. So I've given you, Corey got estimates. One is from Fine Line Paving, and highlighted is number 2 on that list, which was the 4450 paving. And then from Hollowell Construction, you've got 4 highlighted lines. The gravel, all of that. Behind that is current balances for both recreation reserve and facilities reserve accounts. And Dan left, but I've got Corey here who can help. And Melanie, I think is this something that you all have discussed, the committee?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Oh, that's right.
It's on
You're
that
sheet.
sheet.
Yeah, yep.
Where exactly is parking spots going?
If you come out the front door,
Across from where the shed is?
yes, so it'll go right in front of the dumpster and the shed, so follow the curve of the driveway right there.
And how come we're just not adding 4 spaces up in the entire area that's already got handicap spots?
Because the complaint for voting is that it's too far to walk.
And they have to go upstairs, don't
And
they?
they have to go up the stairs or up the ramp.
Right, and
Which
the
then
ramp
they
is
have to go to
pretty far.
all the other end of the building and then. To even get into the gym.
So the front entrance is considered that lower door,
Double
Yeah.
door.
the double door
Right.
that goes
So-
right into the room.
So basically, we're gonna start shutting off that other entrance for voting, so everybody's following past 2 front doors from now on.
I don't think so, Mary.
I think it's just gonna be for handicap use only, coming in through the front door, the rest of it will still go through the side door. Is for our understanding.
Now, can we do that? Can we have
Good question.
multiple entrances? Because
Well,
I thought
well,
that,
go ahead. So Melanie, what my plan is to rope off the area. So if people do start coming in through that front entrance there, have bought extra change and ballast so that they will be roped off and they will still have to go around. But it will be a much shorter distance for people who are handicapped. I've had several complaints about the distance of the handicap parking currently and the distance from the building, and that they actually have to walk farther or use their wheelchair to go further, even up the ramp. It is a long distance away. I have one woman specifically who has bone cancer, and she has complained 3 years in a row. She just can't make the walk. And so I do have a plan. There still will be an egress and an ingress out of that same door. So it will be roped off to accommodate everyone. Does that answer your question?
it does. I just was thinking about the incident that we had up there. And that at that time, we needed to actually have the chain going in front of that door so that it was essentially blocked, that whole area. And I just want to make sure that with everything that you tried to do to keep us legal,
Right.
that if we
And as long as there is a separation, and my plan is to separate with the ballast and the extra chains that I've bought to allow for people to come in through that door, especially handicap. It will only be handicap parking for the most part. You know, there will be other people that, you know, attempt to come in, elderly people, and I'm not going to stop them.
Well, that's why I'm wondering, Mary, why don't we just change it and have that as the main entrance and exit and just not have people come in the other door, so you're not trying to have the sheriff watch two doors and everything else. Just funnel double doors.
Yeah. Yeah, because pretty much the sheriff is up on the next to the library, historical society spot where that whole space is. That's pretty much where they are.
By the time you come in the double doors and he's way over there, they're already inside. So
Yeah,
that's all.
they're already inside the door. Yeah.
So I'm thinking if you should have you just come in and out.
The thing
So
is that those doors are not gonna be fixed. Do you know what I mean, Dan? I've talked to Corey about it, and, the cost to fix those doors, because they're not gonna have handicap buttons. So it's not gonna be 100% for this election. It's something to work on for the future for that building, to get the handicap buttons on those doors. But it's not gonna be fixed for this election 100%. Our
Isn't
goal
that
is
talk
our
about
goal
handicap parking down there?
excuse me?
Isn't that the whole point? You're talking about handicap parking down there, so you're gonna have people come in that are handicapped through those doors anyway.
Well, you know, and I have people standing there that can, observe those individuals who come in, because we do have people come in through those doors right now in wheelchairs, because it is on that lower level for them. I think, you know, the fix is something in the near future that, and Corey's aware of it, that those doors don't have buttons. But the cost, I think that he estimated around $10,000 or so, isn't just something that is easily resolved for this particular election. So, you know, the goal is to try to at least get parking there so people can park there, not have to go the distance, and to make it more accessible, especially for elderly people, because that's my concern.
I should have the quote for the handicap doors.
I'm sorry, what?
I should have the quote for those handicap doors this week
Okay,
from two different people, so. And it would just a matter of whether they can.
so if I've added up the yellow rate, it looks to me like it's around $6,100.
For both things,
Well, 4450 on one page.
the one from Hollowell is gonna be a little more because we'll have to have some excavator work done, and that's just so. And some grading done with the tractor. So the yellow is not completely, so there'll be some.
So this is like 6,100, so another 1,000, 7,100.
Probably, yeah, if that, yeah, probably.
And how much from the grant can we use, or how much is there from that grant that?
Well, I ordered the handicap signs through her grant that hasn't.
Okay,
That hasn't been billed yet, so that's. Probably $200 or $300, that's.
But Mary, you were only intending to buy the signs,
The
not,
sign and the post, right?
right, and not any of those monies toward the actual construction of those parking spaces, correct?
I did not put that into the grant, so.
right,
I didn't think so. Okay,
okay,
so that
So we're just talking.
7,000 or whatever is
Yeah.
what would be requested to split between
So
both
the-
facilities.
so we're looking around 3,500 out of each one.
Yes.
We got the signs that can be purchased.
Yeah.
Okay. People stops?
I think we need that. I mean, when we walked around there, what was the first
Yeah.
thing you said was. That is the entrance that. The older folks use and the handicap folks use, and then there's no.
Right.
Park.
Yeah,
And
I
then
agree.
distinctly. This only the door for someone at the last
Mhm.
building, and he said, well, it's gonna take me forever to get there, and you just go ahead on it.
Yeah,
And I was like, I'm sorry.
So can you get a wheelchair?
right, yeah, it is, it's a long, long hall.
I was like, if we had the space.
Oh, yeah.
With that.
The shed's in
Yeah.
good condition, so we said even if we had to move the shed, that's not an issue, and the dumpster didn't used to be there, it used to be on the other side of the kitchen area, so that could be moved too if need be,
If we need to.
so.
Okay.
There's also on the fine line paving line. See here. The front walkway.
That $975.
Yes. That technically could probably, and that would fix that manhole over the,
If you're gonna put it up as a handicapped entrance, there's a manhole that
yeah,
you don't want people to get hurt on either.
Okay.
because it does block on top of the wellhead for some strange reason.
So, you know, it's.
Yeah.
So 61 plus 1,000 plus another 1,000, so we're talking about 81,000, 8,100, sorry.
Okay, so where are these numbers? I don't see where I.
Right here, this 4450,
Right, 4450,
and then if you add 110 of these,
okay,
if I added them right, maybe I didn't add them right.
okay, so we need to have the yellow from.
We need to have,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yellow plot.
928,
Yeah.
524, yeah. So if you add those up, I did it quickly around 6,100.
Okay, plus the 975, which we also need.
Right, plus the $1,000 for additional greater work that Cory said wasn't listed on the Hollowell quote. So we're at 6171, $8,100 roughly,
Roughly.
split between the two groups.
Can I ask Cory a question? If they dig up that walkway in the front and regrade it and pave it. What happens to that well cover?
What happens to what?
What happens to that well cover, the rocky one right now? Cause that's,
They will reset it into the pavement. And should be high enough where it will no longer rock. So the rim around it that the cover is sitting on has sunk,
right,
which does this number on top of the wellhead. So they'll bring the base up and then the cover will set flat like it should.
okay, cause I just didn't want us to cover with it. Oh, yeah, we can't cover it, right?
Yeah, so
We
we
can't
have,
cover the well cover.
I'll have to cut the concrete, get the concrete out of there. And they said, yeah, they do those types of things all the time. And you showed me that it would not rock on the base anymore. So,
Good.
Yeah, cause we don't wanna lift it at all. It really is gonna be flush. And
Yeah.
what's the concern gonna be with frost in that? And is it gonna, are we gonna end up in the same situation 5 years from now?
If
hopefully,
you're gonna pave it, wouldn't it make sense to wait, get it ready, and then pave it in the spring, so it could sit for the winter?
shouldn't be a lot of need to sit because we're not gonna dig anything out underneath it other than just
Oh, okay.
the concrete. And then the base will already be there.
Okay,
If the base and the base should be good.
okay,
There'll be would have to do some fine grading, but fine line paving would do the fine grading to bring it up to the
the level it
level
needs.
needed to be in.
Here,
So I think we need this. I'm glad that there was eyes on this and it's come forward as a proposal. And it seems like from a funding perspective, both facilities reserve as well as the recreational capital. Has ample amount of money to account for about half of the total.
Yeah.
So even if it were $9,000
right,
and 4,500 to each, it seems to me like what we have here, we're fine. If you feel good about it,
Just as a comment to, like I said, I should have the quotes. From Burt Security for automatic doors over there and main handicap accessibility, which has done our doors here and did the original doors over to the center for all seasons. So I should have those quotes, so those are probably gonna come back to you too, if we wanna try to get those in before voting time.
Okay. But I think, going in this direction is the way to help assure our taxpayers that they have an ability to get into the place and do voting.
And this is stuff that,
Super.
as our committee has gone through this building, this is
Yeah.
just the beginning of stuff that, okay,
Yeah.
let's start picking away at things that need to be picked away at right now, and we'll move forward from there, but this is a good step in the right direction.
Well,
Okay.
the
May
election
also
coming up.
open up that space, I mean, because one of the other things is that we wanna make sure that all of our facilities are accessible for everyone, so.
Right. Right.
And they do a walk-in program or something else over there, and gives folks a closer access point to get into the gym to be able to participate, where it may be more of a hindrance now for them to do so.
Oh, Mary?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention one more thing in that I think that we could cover this with part of the grant is speed signs in that parking lot, because some people tend to go through there very, very quickly. And if we're thinking about putting in the handicap parking lot right in that small area there, I think that, it was part of the CISA assessment is to have speed signs in there for people that are just driving through. So I think that, if Corey could look into that, getting some speed signs. And I think the estimate, especially with children, is around 15 miles per hour. So, and with elderly folks, I think that that would also be a huge plus.
You can do
I
that.
don't know, you go into most campgrounds and it's 5 miles an
Yeah,
hour.
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So 5 miles an hour. Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's, as you're at 15 miles an hour, you're still gonna be
Mm.
really hard.
Be dodging bumpers.
Okay, so, I move that we approve the, installation of the handicap, spots, taking, approve, up to $9,000, taking no more than $4,500 from facilities, capital reserve, and $4,500 from, recreation capital reserve.
Second that.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor, Dan?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
And I vote yes, so that's 5 yeses.
Great.
Okay. Okay. We're moving along here.
Thank you, Mary.
Now we're coming into, the 2016 F-550 truck that's available for refill. Lorna, is that yours again?
Yeah. So the town of Reedfield is accepting bids for a 2016 Ford F-550 6.7 liter V8 diesel Super Duty. It does have a dump body, Fisher polycaster spreader, Boss 9-foot plow, and other accessories. Mileage is 36,800. The truck and equipment is sold as is, where is condition. Included is a list of the specifications and then also recent maintenance that they did or have done, which is quite a bit actually. And then I've given you a copy of their piece they put out on their website. Bids are due, I want to say September 13. We do have a facilities truck reserve account, which currently has $47,223. I gave you a copy of that. Mary and I talked about it this morning, and she was able to pull the original warrant article to establish the Public Works road maintenance and paving capital reserve account. So I think with a straight face, if you wanted to pull some money from there, you certainly could do so. The minimum bid on the truck is 50,000.
Is 50, 50?
Yes,
Oh,
50.
Okay, we ready to weigh in?
I'm sorry.
Are we ready to weigh in?
Oh, yeah. And Corey did go look,
Sorry.
Corey did go look at it today as well, so.
So I did an auto check on it, and I noticed some of the work that they stated were done, those were recalls on that particular truck. I don't love the idea of us spending $50,000 on something that is in as-is condition. It's an 8-year-old truck with 34,000 miles on it, which means it sits a lot. So, and I'm pretty sure that we had decided about a year ago that we didn't need a 5,500 in the town hall. So we will be buying an old truck for a lot of money with no guarantees, no warranties on anything. And we could just be out that money, because there's a reason the town of Reedfield's getting run by. And you can't get a full auto check on it because it's a municipality. But there was almost a full page of recalls and stuff on the particulate filter and everything that they're like, oh, this has been done. I'm like, was it not done before? Because this stuff was noted in 2017. So they're just doing it now, which means with the diesel filter, that's got a particular issue that wasn't addressed initially. You want, I just grabbed one copy of it, or if you want to take a look at that. And it's hard to see what they have done, so then I cross-reference stuff from the other sent. And it looks like everything was just recently done. That with an open recall like that, and when they extend a warranty item, it could have been done and should have been done earlier.
this is not my wheelhouse. Are
Normal.
diesel engines more difficult or not
Oh,
to
yes,
have?
they're more expensive to fix, everything about them is more expensive.
Okay,
So if you get your oil changed and it costs you $140, it's gonna cost you $280 for a diesel.
oh, okay.
And everything, that's why they're $10,000 more than that. And then everything was more than this.
No, the only reason we've got it before us is because I haven't been doing fire extinguisher work, and I knew, I saw it was up a bit. And I knew they were talking about replacing the plow truck, so I just figured it was something to look at, consider. I talked to the people from Reedfield, the reason they're getting rid of it is because whatever they were doing with it, it was sitting and idling so much, it did mess up the exhaust system, and so what they've done is they did all the repairs, but they're replacing it with a gas truck. Cause I don't wanna go through that again with the
Because
GS.
they're like,
It's much, like I said, they just.
and they're saying if we can recoup some of our money, like half, then we'll do it. Which isn't a bad thing. But I think too, we put the 40,000 there because we wanted to be able to replace our own 2016 in 2026 with a new vehicle. So the intention was 40 for this year, 40 for next year, 40 the following year, or whatever our balance is. I mean, I'd say just put 40 and whatever's left, we leave it towards replacing the next truck, because that was the intention. But I'd rather, if we're gonna do something down the road, even in 2026, I'd rather we have a brand new vehicle with a brand new warranty. And then it's ours.
And that's fine, like I said, I had come across this, so I figured it was worth at least talking about. Because I know the new trucks, what they're going for now, I mean, the one Reedfield replaced with the gas model was $99,000.
Well, just a base 5,500 is 77,000. So,
Holy smokes.
yeah, well, because I mean, look at the size of the truck, depends on the size.
Yeah, oh, really,
You
You know,
know,
It's
so-
it's basically the same size as heavy suspension, yeah.
Not used to spend the bigger motor.
The Ford over there looks like a 1 ton.
Yeah.
The body of the truck is definitely in good shape. They've fluid filmed it, they've taken care of it. It's in good shape, but
I wouldn't bid on unless we had a mechanic over and look at it too anyway, so.
I called the guy that buys all used vehicles for Central Maine Motors. He says 50,000 is a stretch. For the way it is, he says, I wouldn't do anything more than 35,000, the way it sits. With a plow and a sander on it, maybe I'd get 40,000, but it was about all he said he'd do for it.
No, and they got down $50,000, I don't know if they're gonna get $50,000, if they don't get what they want, they're gonna try to auction it off. And what is it off? Dump dot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they may end up with
20,000.
$20,000. So.
Okay,
I mean, that's just my opinion on it, and I was like, well, I've got the ability to do a salvage check, why don't I call it, and I was like, oh, ding, 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 ding. But what they did was Ford extended all the warranties to cover that work, but it still wasn't done
yeah,
initially. So, I just don't want us to pay 50 grand for somebody else's headache.
so.
I think that's been said a couple times.
I may have said
With no warranty.
As I'm prone to say, do you feel strongly about this?
Well, because I know what always happens, that will come back to bite us in the butt.
It was certainly worth looking at, but.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because if you don't look at these things, you're gonna miss the good one.
Yeah.
All right,
I mean, if it was just going off the bodywork and how they took care of that, yeah, but. That's
It's
a
the
big
guts
number.
that'll get you.
okay, so do we need a motion to table or?
We
No,
don't, we
no,
don't look
no,
at.
okay,
I still like the diesel.
yeah.
I agree with you.
There's that thing when you turn over the diesel.
Yeah.
Oh, and the fork and walk hands.
Yeah.
Now have a good night.
Okay,
Thank
okay,
you, Corey.
that takes us through everything here. Does anyone have anything under other business?
I have something I want to make sure we get on a future agenda, like the next meeting,
Okay,
which is our first meeting in November is scheduled as usual for election day. So, I'd like to set an alternate date sooner rather than later for that meeting.
okay, so you usually either go to Wednesday or the following week, is that what is traditionally done?
Yeah, I think we just do whatever, you could do the following, I wanna say that's.
The fifth is our normal.
I wasn't prepared
election
with
day.
dates, I was just prepared to bring it up.
So the 12th maybe, that's.
So it would be the
Following.
sixth, Wednesday the sixth, or Tuesday the 12th.
I just go and stay Tuesdays, because we know Tuesdays are open.
Right,
Right.
so
Yeah.
I have a conflict on it, but that's okay. So, do you want to think about it and vote on it next meeting? You want to decide tonight?
I can easily decide tonight, but it doesn't matter, I'd do what the group would want. You know, if you wanna think about it for a bit, it's fine.
We will have a Veterans Day, the 11th, we would be off, so it would be,
If you go the 11th, the town office is closed.
No.
So that's,
12th.
that's a Monday.
that's, the 11th is a Monday, the
I was
12th.
thinking the day after.
Yeah.
We're talking about going the day after the town office is closed, so
Yeah,
we're gonna pull loaner in.
oh, that's right, that's
So, I
right.
mean, I'd rather not, I'd rather
Just go to the 12th.
stick to a normal day, even if they're.
Of course, the other thing you could look at, in October, there are 5 Tuesdays. You could look to do it the 29th. So you don't bust those meetings close together.
That's fine, big time.
Is that?
I hadn't thought of that, but that could work.
Yeah, that might, then you don't have 2 Tuesdays right close together.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Okay,
That's fine.
It's-
so we want to agree to do it on October the 29th. Yep. Okay, everyone in agreement? Lorna, do you have a conflict there?
I don't think so. I don't
Okay.
usually
She
have
goes,
any,
not now.
I don't usually have anything on that, Tuesday night,
Tuesday.
I keep those,
Okay,
open, I'm looking October. 29, no, I don't have anything there, so
Well, then
if you do the
yeah.
29th, then your next one will be
Be-
not the 5th, not the 12th, but the 19th.
right,
Right.
Wow,
so that would give us
that's a long
3.
way.
No, But that's the same way it would have
Repeat
been,
the same way if you went the other way.
yeah, because we have 5 Tuesdays in
Okay.
Yeah.
October.
That's true.
Yeah, okay, all
But
right,
this seems like a long time.
I know. Okay, all right, so let's do that. Okay, let's move on to more, any other business? Okay. Going into warrants. I move we approve AP warrant number 97 in the amount of $8,593.40.
Second?
All in favor, Dan?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. That's 5 yeses. I move we approve warrant number 98 in the amount of $29,111.05.
Second that.
All in favor, Dan?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
Okay, I move we approve AP warrant number 99 in the amount of $717,093.99.
I'll second that.
Okay.
What did you say, Peter? Go?
Go. I know, that first school bill. So anyone have any questions on warrant 99, AP warrant number 99?
On page one, why did we pay $250 for an estimate?
That's what they charge. They also charge, is that all?
That's wrong.
We paid that same fee for Dalton, A Dalton, is that for Tim Dalton?
No, this is for 8. Are we paying another $250 for them to do $10?
We already did. That already came through because I questioned it because I knew that we had paid that once already. So I, looked at the invoice. Advanced one, right?
We had that discussion along the other meetings with these companies.
Yeah.
Charging an estimate, and they said, well, you're not paying it up front, you're paying it built into.
Built into it, yeah.
You're paying one way or the other.
Well, if we get the contract, do we get a credit?
I would assume it comes off the total
Yeah.
cost, but it costs them money to come
Come
out.
out and do the evaluation, yeah.
I get that, although I frown upon it.
It's a cost of doing business.
Calling 3 roofing contractors and they all come out and give you an estimate. None of them charges you up front.
Right.
So I think if that's gonna be their practice, we don't wanna use them. You know, especially for a municipality. They've done it now, so we kind of have to pay that one, but I would think that there's other cleaning companies. And I mean, I'm thinking about that I have a kitchen fire, they didn't charge me the community the estimate, and it's gonna cost to bring the kitchen back up to snuff.
Okay. Any other items anyone have? That's it.
I didn't see
Okay.
that.
Okay. If there's no further discussion, all in favor, Dan?
Actually, hold on, I
Oh.
have one more quick down. On page 7, you've got petty cash clerk short. Well, what is that?
Mary, do you want to speak to the $20 petty cash? Short.
Yeah, one of the clerks came up short. Sometimes we get a lot of bills in, we do our best job. They came up $20 short in their cash. We're not exactly sure what happened. It was counted numerous times. And it's just one of those things that sometimes happens. So we replenish our petty cash because we keep a certain amount in there. And so basically that's what it was a check to ourselves to replenish the petty cash.
And that, the front line has been crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And bills, the other two sometimes.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
when they're fresh
You know,
from me.
Right. And some of those fresh bills are really hard to count. I mean, I had over $6,000 in cash today, and I had $100 bills that were literally stuck together that I counted numerous times just to make sure that, But you get those new bills from the bank, and even though you may have a little of that little putty stuff on your hands, sometimes it happens, and it happened to one of the clerks. So, but like today, it was just Ian and I for the most part. We took in over $1 million between cash and checks, and so we do our best job.
Yeah.
Guess everybody's paying their taxes on time, huh?
Yes, they are.
Crazy.
Okay, well, that's what, I wasn't sure if it was the petty cash for short $20 or we used petty cash to cover a short, exactly. So that's what I was checking.
Spell check doesn't work on this thing.
I
Uh-oh.
saw that too, but
I tried to catch.
No,
things
I'm
and-
looking at the picnicky or something like that tables.
Oh.
PICNINC.
Oh, that one. So no,
I'm thinking we're gonna have a stack at the picnic table.
Okay, anything else?
Oh, on a positive note outside of that, a giant fake boulder is.
The what?
A giant fake boulder is that the Center for All Seasons now covering the danger zone in the kids' playground.
Nice.
So just a happy aside that it just popped into my head. I was like, oh, yeah,
Okay. All in favor of the warrant, Melanie?
yes.
Peter?
yes.
Barbara?
Yes,
Dan?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes, so that's 7 yeses, 5 yeses. I move we pay AP warrant number 100 in the amount of $14,054.
second,
Any discussion? All in favor, Dan?
Yes.
Barbara?
yes,
Peter?
Yes.
Melanie? And I'll vote yes. And then I move we pay warrant number 101, payroll warrant in the amount of $25,379.05.
Second.
All in favor, Melanie? Peter?
Yes.
Barbara?
yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Okay, and we are through the warrant. Okay, and that brings us to the town manager report. Donna?
Before I start, this came in the mail, I'll pass this around, I'll read it, from Ann Stocko. Dear Board of Select Persons, thank you so much for choosing me as a recipient of the 2023-2024 Town of Belgrade Scholarship. I'm very grateful for the assistance towards my education and for the honor that comes with this scholarship. This money will help me pay tuition this year and allow me to enjoy furthering my education at Smith College. Thank you again for considering and selecting me as this year's recipient. I cannot wait to begin my college journey. Sincerely.
Good for her.
Is that Max daughter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought we stopped calling it a scholarship. When we awarded, we don't call it a scholarship, right? Isn't it a grant? An academic grant?
I don't know.
It's a scholarship.
Do we call it a scholarship or?
I thought we changed the name of it, because what happens is that somebody a scholarship, it comes off their financial aid. So they really don't get anything, I think.
Oh, does it mess up with the,
Yeah, what happens is
financial?
we have to report it to the college as money coming in, and if you're
Oh.
getting financial aid from the college, they automatically reduce your financial aid by whatever your scholarship is.
Oh,
And so that's why a lot of places have gone to academic grants now, because you don't have to report it.
oh,
Well,
I thought we called it an award,
Or a award or something,
so
Yeah.
that,
just to get away from that, 'cause I brought this up a few years ago.
because it should be.
I
Here we
think,
go.
yeah, I think if you look in the town report, it still says scholarship. And I think the trust document calls it a scholarship. So can you change a trust document?
Well.
I'm not sure that you can.
The trust doesn't actually give them that, the town always has to make up a bunch of that money, don't we?
We do make up a bunch of the money. We do.
So, give them the scholarship, call the trust part a scholarship, call the rest of it something else, so they don't have to report it.
Right.
Yeah. So maybe we need to change the language in the town report also.
yeah,
Yeah,
just do that.
I went through this when my kids went to college, and every time they got a scholarship, it messed with their financial aid, it was like kind of a wash. So it's like, why work for the scholarships unless you get enough to pay for your whole
Right.
college?
That's a good point, because we want them to
You want
benefit from it, yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
not get paid, penalized.
Yes, yes.
This cost recovery is signed by the fire department, not the select board.
We haven't called it a board.
We do call it an award, all right,
Okay,
Yes.
but she referred to it as scholarship.
And I'm
that's
wondering
not-
if it's presented as a scholarship, so that's why. this-
I don't know.
okay, I'm not signing this because it says fire department.
I think Melanie, you signed the last one, Melanie.
Well,
Yeah, I
If-
think you can sign it, Carol. That's why I included it because.
Okay, I mean, I'm
It
willing to
was
sign.
signed by the chair previously, so
Okay,
People were here and after
I
that.
think.
I can sign it as a.
can I get a fire
Yes,
plate?
you can.
Can I get a
Dan can sign it
license
as
plate
fire.
that has the fire logo on it now, if I'm saying?
Yes.
It just says Town of Belgrade through its fire department, but. So Melanie signed and then I just wrote, I hand printed chair board of selectors.
And today is.
I don't think
8:31?
our
Oh, no, 9
Gentleman here tonight is that picky.
No, I don't.
It's great to have this. Yes, he's very.
Okay,
Okay, so.
Lorna,
Met with a resident on the west road about speeders. That prompted Corey to put the, portable speed sign over there. I came through there today. And it's still out right before the corner. Met with Scott Wilkinson from Angus King's office to tour our fire stations. He was really great, took good interest in what he was seeing and reiterated what Senator Collins' office had shared with us about the progress of our grant application. I think he grew up with Tom.
Tom Daniels,
Yeah,
yeah, Tom Daniels
yeah.
are really good friends.
Yeah. Road committee meeting, employee handbook review meeting, and then we had sub-accounting training with Northeast Bank. Our rental agent sent a letter to the occupants of 10 Dalton, reference the risk management inspection. I provided a copy of that to you. Avery Whitney has accepted the position of Assistant Recreation Director with us. Avery is a native of Industry, Maine, and graduate of Mount Blue High School. She has a BS in Rehabilitation and Human Services from the University of Maine, Farmington, and is currently finishing up a summer position with the Travis Mills Foundation as Program Coordinator Assistant. It says she should start sometime next week. She actually, her first day was today.
Yeah, great.
So if you get an opportunity to stop into the center and say hi, she's really very dynamic for her age. Process 2 general assistance applications, code enforcement Hans and I met with legal counsel on a case matter. I forwarded out the recap for that to you all this afternoon. Tax cards and septic and plumbing permits are available as part of our GIS mapping for each property. We're working with CAI, the host of that GIS map online, to see about putting building permits also. We know we can upload them and attach them to a property. But after discussing, seeing growth areas with our comprehensive plan committee, I thought it might be interesting if we could upload those building permits by year. So as a layer on that GIS map, so each year the layer would be a different color, so that when you overlaid those, you could actually see the growth areas. So they're checking on that to see if that might be something we could do. I thought that might be really interesting and useful. Chris Mitchell, Executive Director of Delta, sent out a newsletter update. I attached that. I gave mine to Dan McKenzie tonight. Had really super good information. It was very long. GA and junkyard hearings will be scheduled for your next meeting. We're still waiting on those, information from GA. She said that it may be late, so that particular hearing may be later than this meeting scheduled. KB Cog General Assembly meeting is September 25 in Gardner. The front office staff will be attending BMP training this month. Mary's got Ian and Kelsey scheduled, and she's headed out for voter training Wednesday and Thursday of this week. I have training for GA and then MMA's verbal judo class in Bangor. Our new treasurer just finished up a 2-day accounting class through MMA.
Can I stop you for a minute, Lorna? Did we get, Melanie registered for that KV cog General Assembly?
Yes,
Okay,
she and Barbara are both scheduled,
okay,
registered, so, and if they don't want to attend, they can just let me know and I'll let MMA know.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. Dalton, we're continuing to work on getting estimates. I know, speaking with Corey, this is super difficult to get any contractor to come, take a look and give an estimate. Nobody wants to do it. I talk to him at least twice a week about it, and he's not making a great deal of headway on it, but
okay.
he's
It's
trying.
still on the,
He is trying. Upcoming department head meeting, we've got one this week, meeting for the fire station building. Dan, Tom and I are meeting, within a butter this week, Friday afternoon. Comprehensive plan meeting is September 18. That will be future land use. That meeting's at 5:30. Transfer station committee has a meeting on September 9. Attending DEP shoreline zone training September 16, on to 9. It's a free training. Katie Cog Board of Directors meeting September 17. And then we have a candidate forum September 24, that begins at 6 p.m. And we did get the comprehensive plan survey finished up. The committee signed off on that introductory piece, so that got put onto our website and our Facebook page today.
yeah, I saw the little QR
Yeah,
code.
and we've got some hard copies printed and ready out front for anyone who stops in who might like a hard copy to fill out. Right directly behind my report, I did include Sharon Nato on the committee with Mel and Corbin, Deanne and Corey for Center for All Seasons. They've already been able to identify some needs, immediate and then 3, 5 and 10 year items, so that I just printed that out so that you could have that in your, let's just keep it in the back of your binder to take a look at, but it's pretty interesting. There are some significant things that need to be done, but the committee obviously is working super hard to be able to identify all of these things and put them on a timeline like that, so really, really good, very helpful.
And has that been done like that before?
For Center for All Seasons, not to my knowledge,
This is excellent.
not to my knowledge,
This is exactly what we should. be doing.
exactly,
Right,
Yes.
absolutely,
yes,
absolutely.
agreed.
Yeah. Okay, anyone have anything else? If not, maybe take a couple minute break and then we have a short executive session. And we'll be on our way.
Okay. Then we'll-
Okay, so I move that we exit the select board meeting at 8:55.
Second.
Okay, and then I move we enter executive session under number 1 MRSA subsection 4056A personnel matter.
Second.
Okay, and at 8:55.
So let's stop.
Now you stop.
I'm gonna vote on it.
Yeah, we should vote.
Oh, that's right, we should vote. Minor detail. Okay, on the first one, Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes,
Melanie,
Yes.
and on the second one, Peter,
yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Dan.
Yes.
Okay,
I'm stopping recording now.
okay.
Back.
Okay. So actually, I think we need to make the motion to enter the meeting while we're being taped, right? So I make a motion that we re-enter the meeting at 9:09.
Second.
All in favor, Peter?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Barbara? Melanie? I vote yes. And then in executive session, we scheduled two meetings for personnel matters on for executive session on September 16th at 6:30 and September 18th at 7:30. And now I move that we exit the select board meeting at
Second.
9:10.
Second.
All in favor, Peter?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
Okay,
And shutting down the.
and we're out.
Recording.